God bless you guys. This is the second part of your quiz prep. So we're doing regular shapes, which were these up here, and then we're doing irregular shapes. So remember that irregular shapes is basically two shapes or three shapes together. So again, you have all your formulas up here, and so what I did was I broke it up into two pieces or three pieces depending on the shape to give you an idea. On your test, you will not have this. You will have to do it on your own. So what you can do is split your irregular shape into two shapes. So I gave you an idea here. You want to do a rectangle and then a square. In most of these irregular shapes, there's going to be at least one rectangle. So my advice would be to create your rectangle right here, like that. That would be your rectangle. And then that's this portion. So if you take in this portion right here, right, with the two numbers, our rectangle has a 5 and an 8 here, a 5 and an 8. And then for my triangle, we don't have a number here for my triangle, but we have the 5. So since the 5 is there, the 5 also goes here. So the rectangle also has a 5. And then for the, not the rectangle, sorry, the triangle also has a 5. For the triangle, remember that you need a base. So going back to this up here, we have the base, right? So here we don't have a number. So make the note, guys. You want to take the number that's on the bottom, the long side, and we subtract this from it. So make the note. You want to take this and subtract it to get the base of the triangle. Why is that? Because if I split my rectangle right here, right, I know that this piece is, hold on, 1 second. I know that this piece is 8 because this is 8. So since this up here is 8, this little piece is 8. But the bottom line is 10. So if we subtract this, that gives us 2. So 8 plus 2, that gives us 10. Okay, so remember, when you're splitting your rectangle, whatever number you have at the top or the side for the rectangle, you want to subtract it from the bottom. So again, 8 is up here, so we want to put 8 down here. Since this is 8, this would be 2. 8 plus 2 gives me 10. So for my triangle, our base is 2. And then now you want to just apply each of your formulas. So we have a rectangle. Rectangle is right here. Rectangle is length times width. So that gives us 40. Plus, and then our triangle is base times height divided by 2. So the top part, we multiply it, that gives us 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Or you could have canceled the 2's and you're left over with 5 anyways. But it only works with the 2's. If not, then you do 5 times 2. 5 times 2, again, that's the top. 5 times 2 is 10. And then for the triangle, we always divide 2 at the bottom. So that gives me 5. So for my triangle, we have 5. And then we want to add 40 plus 5. So that would be 45 inches squared. This will be on your test already, so you don't have to worry about that. So again, we did 8 times 5. That's length times width. And then we applied base times height divided by 2. base times height divided by 2. So that's the first one. So again, the trick is to just split your irregular shape into 2 pieces. Okay, this is the main note that I wanted to give you guys. Remember that this long side is this piece, and then you just subtract it from that to get that missing piece. Okay, so that's the first one. Next, so again, for the examples, I'm kind of showing you how to split it, you know, but on your test you will not have this. So just to show you 2 ways that you can do it. The way that I split it is I brought this side down. That's what creates this one. But you can also bring this across, and it would create a longer rectangle. And then you would have 5 and the height for that one. Which is the one that I did. So we have 8 and 10. If you do it the other way, the first way that I did it, it will be the same thing. So, oops. If you do it this way, your answer, the overall answer will be the same. You would just do these numbers, and then you would do this piece up here, and this piece up here would be 8, and then your length, we have 10 minus 5, this would be 5, because we would do 10 minus 5. I think the other way is easier. It just depends on how you guys see it. Okay, so again, I'm doing this one. So I got this piece. That's this piece right here. That's the one that I just wrote down. So let me do it like this so you guys can see it. So that's this one. And then now we want to do this one. So here we have our numbers. It's 7 and 5. So we're going to do 7 and 5. And that's this piece. Okay, so again, I'm just splitting my irregular shape into shapes that I'm familiar with. So these are 2 rectangles. That means we're doing length times width for both of them. So we're going to do 8 times 10, that's 80. And then 7 times 5 is 35. And then again, we want to add these 2 numbers. So we would do 80, 35, 115. So this would be 115 inches squared. And then again, like I said, if you would have split it this way, and then this piece and this piece, you would have still gotten the same thing. Okay. Next. So again, the trick here is to create rectangles. So again, here I split it into 3 pieces, but again, on your test, you will not have these. So you have to know how to split it. So what I said about the rectangle is you want to create a rectangle. So we would connect here and down. So there we have a rectangle. We have a rectangle. And then we have a semicircle. So we created a semicircle. And we created a triangle like that. You see? So that's the easiest way to do it, is to create your rectangle, because the majority of these shapes come off of a rectangle. Okay, so now building our numbers, right? So for the rectangle, we have 11. So 11 is right here. So it does take up that little space right here, those dimensions. And then 8 on the side. So 11, 8 would be my rectangle. So 11 here, 8 here. For the base of my triangle, since this is 11, this is 11. So on the base of my triangle, we have an 11. And then we have our 5 right here for the rectangle. And then for the semicircle, since this side is 8, this side is 8, right? But a reminder for the semicircle, remember that the semicircle, let's go back up for a second. The semicircle is not this one, sorry. Let me go back up. When I did this example, you guys should have this one, but I'll do it real quick. Our radius is only this portion right here. So when we do our semicircle, we're doing 3 because that's the radius. If I would have given you the whole line 6, we would have had to divide it by 2 to get half of it. Okay, so when I give you the semicircle, remember to cut it in half. So for my semicircle right here, it is 8, but remember our radius is only half of 8. Half of 8. So again, remember, I'm getting 8 from this total side, but the semicircle is half of that. So we would be doing 4. So even though 8 goes here, we're not going to use 8. We're going to use half of it. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. Okay, so remember half. Make the note, half. So 4. Okay, so now we can piece together all of our formulas. You guys should have this at the top of your page. It's just that my thing is zoomed in. So our semicircle is 4 squared times pi over 2. Let me verify that real quick. That's the only one that I'm still, yeah. So r squared, 2 over 2, and then pi sign. Okay. So we have 4 times 4. Again, this is not 4 times 2. That would be 8, and that's wrong. It's not 4 times 2. It's 4 times 4. So this is 4 times 4 pi over 2. That gives us 16 over 2, which is 8 pi. So another note, guys, actually, let me go back. So for this one, for the irregular shapes, you do have to multiply pi by 3 point, not multiply, sorry. You have to replace pi with 3.14 because we're doing the area. So this is 8 times pi, but we're going to replace pi with 3.14. Okay, remember that for the semicircle only, we have to replace it. If we were doing these up here, the regular shapes, you don't have to worry about it. But for the irregular ones, you do have to multiply pi times 3.14 for the semicircle. So we're going to multiply this. So I multiplied 8 times 3.14 and it gave me 25.12. 25.12. If you guys have a calculator, go ahead and use your calculator. If not, then you'd have to just multiply it by hand. For our next piece, we're doing length times width. Again, you guys have to know the formulas. You will have them on your test, but you have to remember how to apply them. So this would be 8 times 11. That gives me 88. And then last, we have our triangle. So that's 5 times 11, and then we always divide it with 2. That's 55. 55 divided by 2. So 55 divided by 2 is 27.5. So again, if you guys have a calculator, just divide it by 2. And then we're going to add all 3 of these numbers, because remember, it's 3 different shapes that we're doing. So 25.12, 88, and what was the other one? 27.5. So 140.62. 140.62. Okay, next. So again, I separated it into these 2 shapes, but again, you guys need to be able to make your own shapes. So what I don't want you guys to do is like make a triangle and then a triangle and then a rectangle. Like, that's too much, right? We don't need to do all that. All you have to do is make a rectangle first. So here I have my rectangle, right? So that's one shape. And then the other shape is this one up here, which we have a formula for. So those are the 2 shapes. Okay, so for this one, if this down here is 12, this is 12. If this on the side is 6, this is 6, right? So for my rectangle, remember, we're not going to write we're not going to do both of the 6s, both of the 12s. We just need 1 6 and 1 12. We don't need the 6 here and the 12 there. We don't need that. We're going to multiply those 2 and that's it. For my other shape, we have 8 at the top. The side here is for the height, because we have a triangle on the inside, but that's for the height, not for like a separate triangle. And then the bottom is 12, which we got from down here. And that's all we need for that. So again, you guys should have your formulas at the top of the page. I can't zoom it out because then it'll be too small. So this would be B1, B2, and then the height. So the formula for this, we would do 8 plus 12, divide that by 2 first. We always divide it by 2. And then we're going to multiply it times the height, which is times 2. So I'm doing, let me go up a second, this one right here. Okay, B1 plus B2, and then we always divide it by 2, and then multiply it times the height. So we've got 8 plus 12, that's 20. 20 over divided by 2, that's 10. This would be 10. And then 10 times 2, 10 times 2, that gives us 20. Plus, we do 8 times 12, that is 72. And then we want to add these 2 numbers, and that would be 92. So again, I did my rectangle, right? Let's go back. Instead of me doing a triangle, and then a triangle, and then a rectangle, and then another rectangle, we don't want to do all that. All we have to do is put a line here that creates my rectangle, right? That creates my rectangle like I did earlier. And then our separate shape at the top, our trapezoid. That's what it's called. And then yeah, okay, there. Okay, that one isn't too bad. Just remember the process. We do 8 plus 12 divided by 2, not because of this, that's the height. We always divide it by 2, and then we multiply it by the height, which is 2. Okay, so we always divide by 2 and then multiply it by the height. If the height was 8, we would have multiplied by 8. All right, last we have a 3-piece, right? So again, this will not be on your test. You have to be able to separate the shapes. So again, my advice was to do rectangles. So I see a rectangle right here, right? Kind of like I Spy. Let's cut this piece off or section this piece off. So here's my rectangle right here. So that is my rectangle. And then we can do another rectangle right here. Either a rectangle or a square, because those both have the same formulas. So we have another rectangle right here. And then last we have our triangle. So now let's piece all the numbers together. So this one is a little bit tricky. We don't have the long edge, right? So for my rectangle, I have the 6 on the side. I have this. So, oh, I did like a little square. It's a smaller rectangle though. So we have 6 on the side, but we don't have the long edge. So how do I figure out what the long edge is? The trick is to bring down the 8, right? So let me highlight this. So here we have 8, right? So if I bring this down, this little section, I don't know if you guys can see that, hold on, because I want you guys to understand this. So this right here is 8, right? If I bring that down, that's up to here. So technically this part, right, I'm kind of just lining it up. This part is 8. So out of that, there's 8. I also have the purple piece right next to this right here. So if I bring that down right here, that's 5. So what I did is we have, I want to say, top sides. This would be a top side and this would be a top side. So my top side numbers are 5 and 8, if that makes sense. I feel like this made more sense though. So on the bottom we have 8 plus 5. So the long end is 13. 13. And I got that again from adding 5 and 8. Those are my top sides. So for my rectangle, we can put 13. For my smaller rectangle, we have 8 and 7. That one's already done. That one's 8 and 7. And that one is right here. So that's 7 and this is 8, right? So we have those. And then for my triangle, we have a base of 1 right here. And then since this is 7, this is also 7. Okay, so again, guys, let me go back over this. Let me go back over this part because you guys do have a practice question. Okay, let me go back over this. So I created my rectangle first, like this. And then what I did was I took, to find my bottom number, I took 8 and kind of brought it down. So that made up that little piece. And then I took 5 and brought it down. And then I added 8 plus 5. That's how I got 13. Okay, 7 is from here. Looks like a little duck. Okay. So last, let's finish this up because this video is already almost about to be 25 minutes. Okay, applying our formulas. So we have 1 times 7 divided by 2. That gives us 7 divided by 2, which is 4.5. 8 times 7 is 42. Let me double check that because that's always one of the numbers that 56. I'm glad I checked it. 56, not 42. 56. And then last we do 13 times 6. 13 times 6 is 78. And then we just add up all these numbers. So 78, 56 plus 4.5. Yes, 4.5 equals 138.5. 138.5 inches squared. All right, guys, so now it's your turn. I give you guys some similar shapes, right? Again, your review does have the separation. Your test will not have the separations. You have to practice it, okay? I want you guys to mark them for me. So I'm going to show you the first one. You guys have to mark off the shapes for me. So if you have a pencil, just mark off right here and mark off right there to make your rectangle, okay? And then you have 2 triangles this time. The rest, you guys have to do them, all right? So go ahead and do that, and then we'll pick up from here next video.